The engine hums as I idle outside my wife's office building, the dashboard clock glowing 7:10 p.m. The street is quiet, except for the occasional honk from a cab or the rustle of footsteps as someone leaves late. My fists grip the steering wheel tighter with every passing second. Tonight's the night. No more pretending, no more excuses. The marriage I thought I had is a lie. Caroline hasn't worked late a day in her life, yet suddenly, she's the office hero pulling late hours and giving impromptu presentations. I first ignored the signs. The new wardrobe, the Friday night girls' outings, her phone clutched like a lifeline. But the heels, those damned red heels, sealed it. She hated wearing them. They only came out on anniversaries, or those rare nights she felt daring in the bedroom. Yet here she was, waltzing into work with them like they were her everyday shoes. Looking sharp for who? I mutter under my breath, scanning the illuminated office windows for her silhouette. The question has burned in my chest for weeks. Tonight, I'm getting my answer. The elevator dings, and there she is, descending with the ease of someone with no guilt. Caroline steps out, her pace quick, her hair falling perfectly around her shoulders. She doesn't see me tucked into the shadows across the street. She glances at her phone, smirks, and strides toward the parking lot. I follow. Her car pulls onto the main road, and I keep my distance, careful not to lose her in traffic. My heart pounds with every turn she takes, my chest tightening as we enter a neighborhood I know too well, her boss Richard's gated community. The car slows, and she turns into his driveway. My jaw tightens as I pull over a few houses down, killing the lights. My suspicions solidify like a brick wall. She's been lying to me for months. The front door opens, and Richard himself greets her with a smirk. She hesitates for a moment, glances back toward the street. I duck low, heart racing, praying she didn't see me. The door closes behind them, and I'm left staring at the house, rage simmering under my skin. This is the beginning of the end. I sit in my car, fists clenched, the world outside blurred through the fog of my anger. Caroline's betrayal isn't just a knife in the back. It's a stake through the life we built. 15 years together, and she's thrown it all away for a man like Richard. I can't let this go unanswered. I force myself to breathe, the cold air of the car filling my lungs. My eyes stay fixed on Richard's house. The lights inside glow warmly, mocking me. I imagine them together, laughing at me, oblivious to the storm brewing outside. But this isn't the time to act out of rage. If I do this right, I won't just catch them in the act. I'll dismantle the web of lies they've spun. I pull my phone from my pocket and dial the number of my old college friend, Marcus. He's a private investigator now, someone I've kept in touch with over the years. As the phone rings, I stare at the house, watching for any sign of movement. Jason, what's up? Marcus answers, his voice casual. I need a favor, I say, my tone sharp, and I need it fast. He pauses, sensing the urgency. What's going on? My wife's cheating on me, with her boss. I need proof, something I can use to bury her in court. Marcus sighs on the other end. Are you sure about this? It's messy, Jason. Messy? I snap. She's been sneaking around for months, lying to my face, humiliating me. I want evidence, Marcus. I need to do this smart. Another pause. Fine, he says finally. Send me what you've got so far, her schedule, his address, anything useful. I'll start tonight. I hang up and lean back in my seat, the weight of the situation pressing down on me. My mind races through the possibilities. Divorce is inevitable, but I need the upper hand. Caroline has no idea who she's dealing with. As I drive home, the house feels colder than ever. Pictures of Caroline, our daughter Ava, and me line the walls. They mock me now, remnants of a life that no longer exists. My focus sharpens. If Caroline wants to burn everything we've built, I'll make sure she doesn't walk away unscathed. The next morning, I wake before dawn, barely rested but laser-focused. Caroline is already gone, claiming she had an early meeting. I check my phone. Marcus has sent me a list of steps to take. First, he'll plant a tracker on her car. Second, he'll tap into her phone records. Third, we'll wait. It's a long game, but patience has always been my strength. I remind myself that this isn't about anger. It's about control. Caroline doesn't get to rewrite the narrative of our lives without consequences. By the time I leave for work, Marcus texts me, "Tracker installed. Let's see where she runs to next." I glance out the window at the empty driveway where Caroline's car usually sits. The games have begun, and I'm determined to win. The days pass slowly, each one an eternity as I wait for Marcus's updates. On the surface, life at home continues like nothing is wrong. Caroline moves through the house with her usual grace, wearing that practiced smile that used to comfort me. Now it only fuels my rage. Her lies are seamless. She kisses me goodbye in the morning, talks about work at dinner, and brushes off any suggestion of date nights with a dismissive, "I'm just so swamped." Every interaction feels rehearsed. My fists clench under the table as she tells me about a team meeting she attended late the previous night. Marcus sends me his first report a week later. She's got a pattern. His message reads, "Attached is a list of her movements, work, gym, and then a detour every other evening to Richard's house. Sometimes she stays for an hour, sometimes it's half the night. Her phone records show endless texts to a single number, his." I stare at the report, the evidence staring back at me like a slap to the face. My stomach churns, but my mind sharpens. This is the proof I need. Next step? I text Marcus. "Wait. Watch. Build the case," he replies. Waiting isn't my strong suit, but I know he's right. I need to be methodical. Caroline's affair isn't just a betrayal. It's a weapon I'll use to take back control. Divorce court isn't kind to the unprepared, and I refuse to let her walk away with our life, our daughter, or my dignity. That Friday, she gets dressed for another girls' night out. This time, the outfit is borderline scandalous. A low-cut blouse and a short skirt paired with those damn red heels. I don't even bother pretending to believe her anymore. "Don't wait up," she says with a smirk, grabbing her keys. "Oh, I won't," I reply, my voice cold enough to cut glass. The door slams behind her, and I waste no time. I grab my keys, slip on a jacket, and head out. Marcus has been tracking her car, but tonight I want to see it with my own eyes. I follow at a safe distance, my heart pounding like a drum as she drives across town. It's almost laughable how predictable she's become. As expected, she pulls into Richard's driveway. I park a few houses down, kill the engine, and wait. The house is quiet, the lights inside glowing warmly. I can't see them, but I can imagine what's happening. His smug grin, her coy laughter. The thought burns, but I swallow the anger. This isn't the time for confrontation. After an hour, I step out of the car. I walk to her car and pull out a small pocket knife. With deliberate precision, I let the air out of all 4 tires, ensuring she won't be going anywhere quickly. It's petty, sure, but it's satisfying. As I drive away, my phone buzzes. It's Marcus. "Got photos tonight." Adding them to the file. Good. The file is growing, piece by piece. Soon, Caroline won't have anywhere to hide. As I pull into my driveway, I'm already planning my next move. This isn't just about catching her in the act. It's about ensuring she pays for every ounce of pain she's caused me. The next morning, Caroline greets me in the kitchen, her phone glued to her hand as she scrolls with a distracted air. She doesn't mention the flat tires, not even in passing. Typical. It's easier for her to spin another lie than to admit she's been caught out. "Morning," she says casually, sipping her coffee like nothing's wrong. "Morning," I reply, forcing a neutral tone. My mind races as I study her, searching for cracks in the facade. But Caroline's good, too good. Every movement is measured, every smile calculated. It's infuriating. I know better than to push her now. The evidence isn't complete yet, and if I confront her too soon, she'll twist the narrative. Instead, I keep up the act, playing the role of the oblivious husband while Marcus digs deeper. By midweek, Marcus calls with another update. "You're not going to like this," he says, his voice heavy. "What now?" I ask, gripping the phone tightly. She's not just seeing him at his house. They've been meeting at a hotel across town. Same place, same room, every Thursday. I've got timestamps, photos, and security footage lined up. This is concrete. The words hit me like a gut punch. The house was bad enough, but the hotel? It's another level of betrayal, a calculated, deliberate effort to cover her tracks and keep their affair alive. My grip tightens on the phone, my knuckles turning white. "Send me everything," I manage to say, my voice eerily calm. "Jason, listen. You've got more than enough to take this to court now. We can wrap this up?" "No," I reply firmly. "Not yet." Marcus pauses, clearly uncomfortable. "What are you waiting for? You're torturing yourself at this point." "I'll decide when it's enough," I snap, ending the call. That evening, I sit alone in the living room, the file Marcus sent open on my laptop. The images burn into my mind. Caroline smiling as she walks into the hotel lobby, Richard's hand on the small of her back, the room number clearly visible. My jaw clenches as I scroll through the evidence, each photo and timestamp another nail in the coffin of our marriage. I can't let this slide. Not for Ava, not for me. Caroline has made her choices, and now it's my turn. The next day, I meet with my lawyer, Erica, in her downtown office. She's sharp, no nonsense, and comes highly recommended. I hand her the file, and she flips through it, her expression unreadable. "This is solid," she says finally. "If we push this in court, she doesn't stand a chance." "That's the idea," I reply. "I don't want her walking away with a dime more than she deserves. And I want full custody of Ava." Erica nods, jotting down notes. "Understood. I'll draft the paperwork and get things rolling. But Jason, this is going to get messy. Are you ready for that?" I take a deep breath, my resolve firm. I've been ready since the day I saw those heels. When I return home, Caroline is already in bed, her phone resting on the nightstand. I glance at it as I pass, tempted to check for new messages, but I resist. I don't need to stoop that low anymore. The truth is already out there, and soon, she'll have to face it. As I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, I feel a strange sense of calm. The trap is set, and the clock is ticking. Caroline doesn't know it yet, but her perfect little lie is about to come crashing down. Friday morning dawns crisp and cold, but I feel a strange warmth as I step into the lawyer's office. Erica is already waiting, her tablet and coffee in hand. She's the kind of person who gets to the point, and I appreciate that. "The papers are ready," she says, sliding a folder across the desk. "Once these are served, the clock starts ticking." I included a formal demand for full custody of Ava based on infidelity and her neglect of marital duties. "You'll want to be out of the house when she gets served." I nod, scanning the documents. The words feel surreal, but there's no hesitation in my heart. This marriage has been a lie for months, maybe longer. It's time to end it. Erica's voice cuts through my thoughts. "There's one more thing," she says, her tone cautious. Her lawyer works at the same firm as Richard. "Expect this to get ugly fast. They'll try to discredit you." A bitter laugh escapes my lips. Good luck to them. I leave the office with a sense of purpose. The wheels are in motion, and there's no turning back now. As I drive home, I think about Ava, my sweet, oblivious daughter who has no idea her world is about to be turned upside down. She deserves better than this chaos, but I'll make sure she lands on her feet. By evening, I'm parked a few blocks away from Caroline's office, waiting. The process server meets me at the corner, a stack of papers in his hand. "You sure about this?" he asks, eyeing me with a mix of sympathy and curiosity. "Just get it done," I reply, my voice steely. The server nods and strides toward the building. I don't follow. I don't need to see her reaction. I already know how this will play out. Shock, denial, and then fury. Caroline thrives on control, and this will shatter her illusion of it. That night, I stay at a friend's place, not trusting myself to face Caroline after the papers are delivered. I imagine her storming through the house, yelling, and throwing accusations. The thought brings a grim smile to my face. Let her rage. It's nothing compared to the fire she lit in me. The next morning, my phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. She knows? Richard, too. I reply with one word, good. Later, as I sit on the couch flipping through channels, the phone rings. It's Ava. My heart tightens as I answer. "Hey, sweetheart," I say, trying to keep my voice light. "Dad, what's going on?" she asks, her tone a mix of confusion and fear. "Mom's been acting crazy. She won't stop yelling about you." I sigh, rubbing my temples. It's complicated, Ava. I'll explain everything soon, I promise. Just know that I love you, okay? I love you too, Dad, she replies softly. But is it true? Are you leaving Mom? The question hits harder than I expect. Yes, I admit. But it's not what you think. She broke our trust. This isn't something I wanted, but it's necessary. There's a long silence on the other end. Finally, Ava whispers, I believe you. The words are a lifeline, grounding me in the storm. I hang up, resolve hardening once more. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about protecting Ava from the toxic mess Caroline has created. That evening, Marcus calls with another update. Richard's lawyer is already drafting a response, he says. They're claiming you've been abusive, neglectful, and unfit as a parent. I feel the blood drain from my face, but Marcus's next words steady me. Don't worry. They don't have anything solid. Just keep your cool, and we'll dismantle every lie. Cool, calm, calculated. That's the plan. Caroline and Richard might think they can twist the truth, but they don't know what they've unleashed. The next day, I return home for the first time since the papers were served. The house feels different now, colder, darker. Caroline is in the kitchen, her back to me, furiously chopping vegetables. She doesn't turn around as I drop my keys on the counter. You think you can blindside me like that? She spits, her voice trembling with rage. You think you're the only one who knows how to play this game? I lean against the doorway, keeping my tone measured. I don't want a game, Caroline. I want the truth. She spins to face me, her eyes blazing. The truth? You want the truth? Fine. You couldn't give me what I needed, Jason. You've been a ghost in this marriage for years. A bitter laugh escapes me. That's rich, coming from someone who's been sneaking around with her boss. Her expression falters for a split second, but she recovers quickly. You don't know what you're talking about. I step closer, my voice low and steady. I know about the late nights, the hotel, the texts. I know about Richard. Caroline's face hardens, and she sets the knife down, leaning against the counter. You don't know a damn thing. Richard is just someone who understands me, Jason. Someone who appreciates me. Can you say the same? I feel the anger boiling inside me, but I clamp it down. This isn't about me anymore. It's about what you've done to this family. To Ava. Her laugh is sharp, cutting. Ava, don't drag her into this. She doesn't need to know the details of your failures. I shake my head, disgusted. This isn't about failures, Caroline. It's about choices. And you made yours. I leave her standing in the kitchen, her words ringing in my ears. Upstairs, I grab a few essentials, clothes, toiletries, my laptop, and pack them into a duffel bag. As I zip it shut, I hear Caroline's footsteps in the hallway. What are you doing? She demands, standing in the doorway. I'm leaving, I say simply. For good. She steps closer, her voice trembling. You can't just walk away, Jason. You don't get to abandon this. I sling the bag over my shoulder and meet her gaze. You abandoned this marriage a long time ago. I'm just catching up. Her hand shoots out, grabbing my arm. You're not taking Ava, she says, her voice venomous. I pull free, my tone icy. That's not up to you. As I walk out the door, my phone buzzes. It's Marcus. We've got a problem, he says when I answer. What now? I ask, already exhausted. They're doubling down. Caroline's filed a restraining order against you. Claims of abuse. The world seems to tilt on its axis. What? I hiss, gripping the phone tighter. I'm not kidding, Marcus says grimly. They're pulling out all the stops. You need to be careful, Jason. My hands shake as I slide into the driver's seat. Abuse? Caroline has crossed a line I never thought she'd dare approach. This isn't just a divorce anymore. It's war. I drive aimlessly for a while, trying to calm the storm raging inside me. Eventually, I park near a quiet lake, the water reflecting the soft glow of the setting sun. I sit there, staring at the horizon, wondering how it all came to this. My phone buzzes again. A text from Ava. Dad, are you okay? Mom's acting weird. I'm scared. I type a quick reply. I'm fine, sweetheart. Don't worry. I'll fix this. As I hit send, I make a silent promise. No matter what it takes, I'll protect her from the fallout. Caroline can twist the truth all she wants, but I won't let her destroy what little we have left. The cold wind whips against my face as I sit in the parking lot of Marcus's office, staring at the documents he's placed in front of me. The restraining order is there in black and white, filled with accusations that read like a twisted fiction. Emotional abuse, threats of violence, claims that I'm a danger to my own daughter. It's almost laughable, but the weight of it presses on my chest like a boulder. They're playing dirty, Marcus says, leaning back in his chair. But we can counter this. How? I ask, my voice sharper than intended. They've already poisoned the well. People are going to believe this. Marcus studies me for a moment, his expression calm but intense. Jason, we've got the upper hand. You've got evidence of her affair, and we can use that. But we need to hit back strategically. I glance at the pictures and messages he's compiled, the undeniable proof of Caroline's infidelity. It's enough to crush her claims, but the thought of dragging Ava through this mess turns my stomach. I want to keep Ava out of this as much as possible, I say, my tone firm. Marcus nods. Understood. But Caroline and her lawyer will use her as a pawn if it helps their case. You need to be ready for that. The words hang in the air, heavy and unyielding. I grit my teeth and shove the documents back into the folder. Fine, let's do this. The court date arrives faster than I expect. I sit in the sterile courtroom, my lawyer Erica beside me, her sharp eyes scanning the opposing counsel's table. Caroline sits there, poised and polished, her expression a mask of calm. Richard isn't present, but his fingerprints are all over her legal strategy. The hearing begins, and Caroline's lawyer wastes no time painting me as the villain. He leans into the allegations in the restraining order, portraying me as an unstable and vindictive husband. The lies flow easily, and I feel the room shift with every word. When it's our turn, Erica rises, her confidence a beacon in the storm. She dismantles the allegations piece by piece, presenting the evidence Marcus gathered. Pictures of Caroline and Richard, timestamps from the hotel, text messages, they all tell the real story. The judge listens intently, his expression unreadable. By the time Erica finishes, the courtroom is silent. Caroline's lawyer looks rattled, scrambling to redirect the narrative. Then comes the bombshell. We also have an affidavit from a private investigator, Erica says, sliding the document across the table to the judge. It confirms that the restraining order was filed under false pretenses. The judge's eyebrows rise slightly, and I catch a flicker of doubt cross Caroline's face. The tide is turning. After the hearing, I step outside, the cool air washing over me. Erica joins me, her expression unreadable. The judge is reviewing everything, she says. It's not a slam dunk yet, but we've got a strong case. I nod, my mind already racing. What about Ava? She's with Caroline for now, but the judge will decide custody soon. Keep your head down and don't engage with Caroline directly. Her words echo in my head as I drive to a motel on the edge of town. It's not much, but it's quiet and safe. I sit on the bed, staring at my phone. A dozen missed calls from Ava. My heart aches, but I know I can't call her back without risking Caroline twisting it into another accusation. Instead, I text her, "Stay strong, sweetheart. I'm fighting for you." As I put the phone down, I feel the weight of the battle ahead. This isn't over, not by a long shot, but for the first time, I see a glimmer of hope. I sit alone in the motel room, staring at the peeling wallpaper. The silence is suffocating, punctuated only by the distant hum of traffic. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. It's Marcus. "I've got something," he says without preamble, his voice urgent. "You're going to want to hear this." I sit up straighter, my pulse quickening. What is it? I dug deeper into Richard. He's been using his position to pull strings for Caroline, fabricating evidence, influencing the restraining order, and probably coaching her through this entire thing. But here's the kicker. He's got a past. A few employees at his firm hinted at inappropriate behavior. Nothing officially reported, but the whispers are there. The information hits me like a freight train. Richard isn't just her accomplice. He's the architect of this mess. Can we use this? I ask, already thinking of the possibilities. Maybe, Marcus says, but we need hard proof. If we can connect his actions to the legal attacks against you, it'll crumble their case. As the call ends, I feel a flicker of determination. Richard has been pulling the strings for too long, but now I have a thread to unravel his web. The next day, I meet Marcus in a small diner on the outskirts of town. He slides a file across the table. Inside are emails, phone records, and internal memos, breadcrumbs that lead straight to Richard's desk. It's not enough to destroy him, but it's a start. This is solid, I say, flipping through the documents. How did you get this? Marcus smirks. Let's just say Richard isn't as careful as he thinks. I leave the diner with a renewed sense of purpose. Caroline may have underestimated me, but she won't see this coming. When I arrive at the courthouse for the next hearing, Caroline's smug demeanor is gone, replaced by a flicker of unease. Erica opens the proceedings by introducing the new evidence against Richard. The room grows tense as the judge reads through the file, his expression hardening. Ms. Harlow, he says, addressing Caroline, it appears your counsel's firm has engaged in questionable practices. This will require further investigation. Caroline's lawyer stammers, trying to regain control, but the damage is done. The judge turns his attention to me. Mr. Ryan, he says, while this case is far from over, I'm issuing a temporary order granting joint custody. We will revisit custody arrangements once the investigation is complete. A wave of relief washes over me. For the first time, the tide is turning in my favor. After the hearing, I see Caroline in the hallway, her eyes burning with fury. She steps toward me, her voice low and venomous. You think this is over? You'll never win, Jason. I meet her gaze, my voice calm. This isn't about winning, Caroline. It's about the truth, and I won't stop until everyone sees it. As I walk away, I feel her glare on my back, but it doesn't faze me. The walls around her are beginning to crumble, and it's only a matter of time before the whole house comes down. Later that night, I sit in my motel room with a small smile playing on my lips. For the first time in months, I feel a glimmer of hope. Caroline's lies are unraveling, and soon, she'll have nowhere to hide. The next morning, I'm back on the road, heading to Marcus's office to strategize. Caroline's reaction at the courthouse confirmed what I already knew. She's losing control, but the fight isn't over. Not yet. Marcus greets me with a nod as I step into his small, cluttered office. The air smells faintly of coffee and burnt toast, a reminder of how tirelessly he's been working on my case. You're making progress, he says, sliding another folder toward me. But there's something you need to see. I open the folder, my stomach twisting as I scan the contents. Bank records. Caroline has been siphoning money from our joint account for months, funneling it into a private fund. Thousands of dollars gone. She's been planning this for a while, Marcus says, his tone grim, probably since the affair started. The realization hits me like a punch to the gut. Caroline didn't just betray me emotionally. She's been stealing from me, too. My jaw tightens as I close the folder, my anger boiling beneath the surface. Can we use this? I ask. Marcus nods. Absolutely. Financial misconduct will hurt her credibility, especially in a custody battle. But there's more. He pulls out another sheet of paper. It's an email chain between Caroline and Richard discussing ways to discredit me. My name appears multiple times, accompanied by phrases like, make him look unstable, and keep Ava on our side. My fists clench at my sides. She's been trying to alienate Ava from me. Marcus meets my gaze, his expression serious. This is bigger than just the divorce, Jason. She's playing the long game. If you want to protect Ava, you need to strike back hard. I nod, my resolve hardening. Let's do it. That afternoon, Erica files motions to subpoena Richard's firm for additional records. She's confident the discovery process will reveal more about their schemes. Meanwhile, I reach out to a child psychologist to evaluate Ava's well-being. If Caroline has been manipulating her, I need to know. When I return to the motel that evening, my phone buzzes. It's Ava. Dad, she says, her voice shaky. Mom's been acting weird. She's been yelling a lot and saying things about you that don't make sense. Are you okay? My heart aches at the fear in her voice. I'm okay, sweetheart, I say, forcing a calm tone. Don't worry about me. How are you holding up? I'm fine, she says, though I can hear the doubt in her words. I miss you. I miss you too, I say, my throat tightening. But we'll get through this. I promise. As I hang up, I feel a renewed sense of purpose. Ava is my anchor in this storm, and I won't let Caroline drag her down. This fight isn't just about exposing the truth. It's about securing a future where Ava can thrive, free from the toxicity of Caroline's lies. Later that night, Marcus texts me an update. Subpoenas served. Richard's firm is scrambling. I stare at the message, a small smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. Caroline and Richard have underestimated me, and it's their first mistake. But it won't be their last. The wheels are in motion, and the storm is building. I can feel it in my bones. Caroline's empire of lies is crumbling, and soon, there will be nothing left for her to hide behind. The following day, my lawyer Erica calls with news that shifts the momentum further in my favor. The subpoenas hit a nerve, she says. Richard's firm is stonewalling, but that's expected. They're trying to bury us in red tape, but we'll push through. Meanwhile, I've got something else for you. What is it? I ask, my grip tightening on the phone. Caroline's financial records show irregularities. Some of her transactions link directly to Richard's personal accounts. It's not definitive, but it raises questions about how deeply he's involved in her schemes. This could be leverage. Leverage. The word feels like a lifeline. What's the next step? I'm filing a motion to compel their firm to hand over more records. If Richard is implicated, it won't just be bad for Caroline. It'll blow their entire case apart. I hang up, feeling a mix of hope and fury. Caroline's betrayal cuts deeper with every discovery, but the thought of her house of cards collapsing brings a grim satisfaction. That afternoon, I receive a call from Ava's school counselor. It's unexpected, and my heart pounds as I answer. Mr. Ryan, the counselor begins, her tone careful. I wanted to check in about Ava. She's been withdrawn lately, and some of her teachers have noticed a change in her behavior. Is everything okay at home? I swallow hard, my mind racing. Ava's going through a lot right now. It's complicated. The counselor hesitates. If there's anything we can do to support her, please let us know. She's a bright girl, but it's clear she's carrying a heavy burden. I thank her and hang up, my chest tight with guilt. Ava's caught in the crossfire, and I hate that she's paying the price for Caroline's actions. I resolve to get her out of this mess, no matter what it takes. That evening, I meet Marcus at a coffee shop to discuss the next steps. He's already 2 steps ahead, as usual. I've been tailing Richard, he says, sliding a folder across the table. He's getting sloppy. Late-night meetings, questionable conversations. He's nervous, Jason, and that's when people make mistakes. I flip through the photos and notes, my anger simmering beneath the surface. Richard's arrogance is his weakness, and it's starting to show. Keep the pressure on him, I say. If he cracks, Caroline's case falls apart. Marcus nods, a smirk playing on his lips. I thought you'd say that. As I drive back to the motel, my phone buzzes with another message from Ava. Mom's been yelling again. She keeps saying you're trying to ruin her life. I grit my teeth, the words hitting me like a slap. Caroline's manipulations are relentless, but I won't let them define Ava's reality. I reply, I'm not trying to ruin anything, sweetheart. I just want the truth to come out. Stay strong. I love you. Her response is immediate. I love you too, Dad. I set the phone down, my resolve hardening. Caroline's lies have fractured our family, but they won't destroy us. The truth is on my side, and soon, the cracks in her facade will shatter completely. As I lie in bed that night, I think about everything I've lost and everything I'm fighting for. Caroline and Richard are running out of moves, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. The next morning, Marcus calls with a note of urgency in his voice. We've got something big, Jason. You're going to want to see this. I meet him at his office, the room filled with the smell of stale coffee and paperwork. He hands me a tablet, a video queued up. It's grainy footage from a late-night bar. Richard sitting in a corner booth with a man I don't recognize. They're deep in conversation, the tension in their body language obvious. Who's the other guy? I ask, narrowing my eyes at the screen. An old colleague of Richard's, Marcus replies. Used to work at the firm but left after a quiet scandal. Word is, Richard paid him off to cover something up. Whatever they're talking about, it's important. I lean closer, watching as Richard leans in, his hands slamming on the table. The audio is faint, but Marcus has enhanced enough to make out fragments. Can't let this reach the court, Richard says, his voice sharp. The other man responds, his tone low and cautious. You're pushing your luck, Rich. If this goes south, you're on your own. My pulse quickens. Richard's starting to feel the heat. What else do you have on him? Marcus smirks, pulling out another folder. Bank transactions. He's been funneling money to this guy for years, likely to keep him quiet. If we can link these payments to your case, we'll crush them. The pieces are falling into place, and for the first time, I see the endgame clearly. Richard isn't just complicit, he's the puppet master. Taking him down will dismantle everything Caroline's built her case on. Back at Erica's office, I lay out the new evidence. She listens intently, her fingers steepled under her chin. This changes everything, she says finally. If we can prove Richard's involvement, it discredits Caroline completely. The judge will see her as a pawn in his scheme. What's the next step? I ask, my voice steady. We subpoena Richard directly, Erica says. Force him to testify. If he lies under oath, we'll catch him. If he tells the truth, it destroys their case. I nod, the weight of the plan settling on my shoulders. It's a bold move, but it's our best shot at turning the tide completely in my favor. When I return to the motel that evening, my phone buzzes with another text from Ava. Dad, I miss you. Mom's acting weird again. When can I see you? The message guts me, but I know the answer isn't simple. I type back, soon, sweetheart. I'm working on it. Just hang tight. The days blur together as Erica prepares for the hearing. Marcus keeps digging, his updates coming like clockwork. The evidence against Richard grows by the day, each new piece tightening the noose around his neck. Finally, the day arrives. The courtroom is tense, the air thick with anticipation. Richard sits in the witness chair, his usually smug demeanor replaced by a flicker of unease. Erica's questions are relentless, each one chipping away at his facade. Mr. Davis, she says, her voice cool and precise, can you explain the payments made to your former colleague over the past 3 years? Richard hesitates, his eyes darting toward Caroline, who looks pale and anxious. They were consulting fees, he says, but his tone lacks conviction. Erica presses on. Consulting fees for what, exactly? He stumbles over his words, the cracks in his story widening with every question. By the time Erica finishes, the courtroom is buzzing with whispers. The judge calls a recess, and I step outside, feeling the weight of victory within reach. Caroline glares at me from across the hallway, her face twisted with anger. You think you've won? She hisses. I meet her gaze, my voice calm but firm. This isn't about winning, Caroline. It's about justice, and you're running out of places to hide. As I walk away, the tension in my chest begins to ease. The truth is finally coming to light, and soon, Richard and Caroline's web of lies will collapse entirely. The courtroom feels heavier after the recess, the tension so thick it's almost suffocating. Richard sits back in the witness chair, visibly shaken. His smug confidence has been replaced with a cautious, nervous energy. Erica pounces on this vulnerability as the hearing resumes. Mr. Davis, she says, her voice sharp, you testified earlier that the payments were for consulting. However, the recipient of these payments has not been employed in any official capacity for over 2 years. Can you clarify what exactly he was consulting on? Richard swallows hard, his eyes darting toward his lawyer. It was private matters. Private matters? Erica presses, her tone growing colder. Would these private matters include fabricating evidence against my client or influencing legal proceedings? The courtroom murmurs, and Richard's lawyer jumps to his feet, objecting loudly. Speculation, Your Honor. The judge raises a hand, silencing the room. Overruled. Mr. Davis, Answer the question. Richard hesitates, his hands gripping the edge of the witness stand. He glances toward Caroline, whose face is pale and tight with fear. The silence stretches, every second amplifying the pressure. I don't recall, he finally stammers. Erica steps closer, her expression predatory. You don't recall funneling tens of thousands of dollars to someone who was supposed to help discredit my client? You don't recall orchestrating a false narrative to manipulate this court? Richard's face flushes, and his lawyer looks like he's about to combust. That's enough, the lawyer snaps. This line of questioning is irrelevant. The judge's voice cuts through the noise. It's highly relevant. Sit down. The murmurs in the courtroom grow louder, the weight of the moment hanging over everyone. Erica takes a step back, her eyes never leaving Richard. No further questions, Your Honor. As Richard slinks back to his seat, the damage is done. His credibility is in tatters, and the evidence against him hangs like a storm cloud over Caroline's case. When the hearing adjourns for the day, I step outside into the crisp afternoon air, my chest tightening with both relief and anticipation. Marcus is waiting for me near the courthouse steps. That was brutal, he says with a grin. You could see the sweat pouring off him from the back row. It's not over yet, I reply, my tone cautious. Caroline still has cards to play. Marcus shrugs. Maybe, but Richard's unraveling, and she's tied herself to his sinking ship. You're in a good position. As I drive back to the motel, I can't shake the image of Caroline's face during the hearing. Her fury was palpable, but there was something else, fear. She knows the walls are closing in, and for the first time, I feel the upper hand. That evening, I call Ava. She answers quickly, her voice a mixture of excitement and relief. Dad, are you okay? I'm fine, sweetheart, I say, leaning back against the headboard. How are you holding up? I'm okay, she replies hesitantly. Mom's been different, quieter. It's weird. I close my eyes, the thought of Caroline's silence more unsettling than her anger. Don't worry about her, Ava. Just focus on school and keep being your amazing self. We'll get through this. I miss you, she says softly. I miss you too, I reply, my voice tight with emotion. And I'll see you soon. I promise. After we hang up, I sit in the quiet room, the weight of the day settling over me. The fight is far from over, but I can feel the tide turning. Richard's collapse is just the beginning. Caroline's carefully constructed lies are beginning to unravel, and it's only a matter of time before the truth comes crashing down around her. The next morning, I wake to the buzzing of my phone. It's Marcus. His voice is sharp, cutting through the remnants of sleep. We've got movement, he says. Caroline's cracking. I sit up, my heart pounding. What do you mean? She's been making calls all morning. To her lawyer, to Richard, even to some private number I can't trace yet. She's panicking, Jason. Good. The pressure is working. What's the play here? Marcus chuckles. Let her keep spiraling. People make mistakes when they're desperate. I'll keep an eye on her. By the time I make it to Erica's office, she's already grinning. I just got word from Richard's firm. They're withdrawing as counsel. I blink, stunned. What? They're cutting ties with Caroline, Erica explains, her smile widening. The fallout from Richard's testimony is too much for them. They don't want to risk further damage to their reputation. It's a major blow to Caroline's case, and we both know it. Without a high-powered legal team backing her, she's vulnerable. That's not all, Erica adds. The judge has approved our motion to subpoena Richard's personal communications. If there's anything else tying him to Caroline's schemes, we'll find it. The momentum is firmly on my side now, and I feel a surge of hope. For the first time, victory feels within reach. That evening, I receive a text from Ava. Dad, Mom's been acting really weird. She's crying a lot and keeps muttering about losing everything. Are you okay? I hesitate before replying. I'm okay, sweetheart. Don't worry about me. Just remember that I love you, no matter what. Her response is immediate. I love you too, Dad. The text tightens something in my chest. Ava is caught in the middle of this chaos, and I hate that she has to see Caroline unravel. But it's necessary. The truth is finally surfacing, and Caroline can't run from it any longer. The next day in court, Caroline looks visibly shaken. Her usual polished appearance is marred by dark circles under her eyes, her makeup hastily applied. As the proceedings begin, Erica wastes no time introducing the latest evidence, emails between Richard and Caroline that detail their attempts to discredit me. The courtroom is silent as the judge reads through the documents, his expression growing darker with each page. Caroline shifts uncomfortably in her seat, her lawyer whispering furiously in her ear. When the judge looks up, his voice is sharp. Ms. Harlow, it's clear from this evidence that you and Mr. Davis have engaged in unethical behavior throughout these proceedings. This calls into question the validity of your claims against Mr. Ryan. Caroline's lawyer stammers, trying to salvage the situation, but the damage is done. The judge turns to me, his tone softening. Mr. Ryan, based on the evidence presented, I am inclined to grant you temporary primary custody of your daughter, pending further review. Relief washes over me, so powerful it nearly knocks the breath from my lungs. Caroline's head drops into her hands, her composure finally breaking. As I leave the courthouse, I can feel her eyes burning into my back. But for once, I don't care. The truth is out, and the tide has fully turned in my favor. Later that night, I sit in the motel room, scrolling through old photos of Ava. The smile on her face, the light in her eyes. It's all I need to remind me why I'm fighting this battle. Caroline's lies may have fractured our family, but they won't define us. The pieces are finally falling into place, and soon, this nightmare will be over. The next day, I'm preparing to leave the motel when Marcus calls, his voice tinged with urgency. Jason, we've got a situation. What now? I ask, my pulse quickening. Caroline's made a move. She's meeting with Richard tonight at some bar downtown. My guess? Damage control. My grip tightens on the phone. Do you think she's planning something? Absolutely, Marcus replies. This is her last chance to salvage what's left of her case. She knows the walls are closing in. I exhale slowly, my mind racing. Caroline is desperate, and desperate people are unpredictable. What do you suggest? Let her dig her own grave, Marcus says. I'll keep eyes on her. If anything big happens, you'll be the first to know. That evening, I sit in my truck outside the bar Marcus mentioned, watching from a distance. Caroline and Richard sit at a corner table, their heads close as they speak in hushed tones. Marcus is inside, blending into the background, his phone ready to capture anything incriminating. As I watch them, a mix of emotions churns in my chest. Anger, betrayal, sadness. This is the woman I once loved, the woman I built a life with. And now, she's conspiring against me with the very man who destroyed our marriage. Hours pass, and finally, Caroline and Richard leave the bar. They part ways in the parking lot, Caroline heading to her car while Richard walks toward his. Marcus slips out moments later, his phone in hand. I got it, he says as he approaches my truck, his face lit with triumph. Their conversation was enlightening. I raise an eyebrow. How so? Richard admitted to coaching her on how to fabricate the abuse claims. Marcus explains. He even bragged about how many times he's done it before. It's all on tape. A surge of adrenaline rushes through me. This is it, the final nail in the coffin. With this evidence, there's no way Caroline can keep spinning her lies. The next morning, I meet Erica at her office, handing over Marcus's recordings. She listens intently, her expression growing colder with every word. This is damning, she says finally. We'll introduce this in court immediately. Richard and Caroline won't have a leg to stand on. The hearing is scheduled for the following week, and the days leading up to it are a blur of preparation. Marcus continues to gather evidence, while Erica refines our case. I spend my evenings talking to Ava, reassuring her that everything will be okay. When the day of the hearing arrives, the courtroom is packed. The tension is palpable as Erica presents the recordings, playing them for the judge and the room to hear. Caroline's face turns ashen as Richard's voice fills the air, detailing their plans to undermine me. The judge's expression darkens, and when the recordings end, he turns to Caroline, his tone cold. Ms. Harlow, do you have anything to say for yourself? Caroline hesitates, her eyes darting toward her lawyer, who sits silently, clearly out of moves. Finally, She speaks, her voice trembling. I was manipulated. Richard convinced me. The judge raises a hand, cutting her off. Enough. The evidence is clear. This court does not tolerate perjury or the manipulation of legal proceedings. He turns to me, his tone softening. Mr. Ryan, you have proven your case beyond a doubt. Custody of your daughter is granted to you, effective immediately. Relief floods through me, so powerful it nearly brings me to my knees. The nightmare is finally over. Caroline's lies have been exposed, and Ava is safe. As I leave the courthouse, Ava runs to me, throwing her arms around my neck. "Dad!" she cries, her voice filled with joy. "I've got you, sweetheart," I whisper, holding her tightly. "I've got you." The sunlight feels warmer than it has in months as Ava and I walk out of the courthouse together. Her hand is in mine, her grip tight, as if she's afraid I might disappear. I glance down at her, taking in the relief etched across her young face. For the first time in what feels like forever, I see the glimmer of happiness returning to her eyes. "Where are we going, Dad?" she asks as we reach my truck. "Anywhere you want," I reply, opening the passenger door for her. "Today's your day." She smiles, a genuine, unguarded smile, and climbs in. I start the engine and head toward the ice cream shop she's loved since she was a kid. It's a small thing, but after everything she's been through, I want to give her a moment of normalcy. As we sit at a table, the air thick with the scent of fresh waffle cones, Ava looks at me, her expression suddenly serious. "Dad, are we going to be okay?" I reach across the table, taking her hand in mine. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be more than okay. Things might be different for a while, but we're stronger than this. We'll build something new, something better." Her eyes well with tears, but she nods, her grip on my hand tightening. "I believe you." When we return home, the house feels different. It's no longer a battlefield, no longer tainted by Caroline's presence. It's a place where Ava and I can finally start fresh. We spend the afternoon unpacking boxes and rearranging furniture, reclaiming the space as our own. That evening, Marcus stops by to check in. He leans against the kitchen counter, a satisfied grin on his face as he watches Ava dart around the living room, showing off her favorite books and trinkets. "You did it, Jason," he says, clapping a hand on my shoulder. "You fought like hell, and you won." I nod, a small smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. "Couldn't have done it without you, Marcus. You went above and beyond." He waves a hand dismissively. "You've got Ava. That's all that matters." After Marcus leaves, I tuck Ava into bed, her laughter still echoing in the walls of our home. As I sit on the edge of her bed, she looks up at me, her voice soft. "Dad, I know it wasn't easy, but thank you for fighting for me." I swallow hard, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I'd fight 1,000 battles for you, sweetheart. Always." When she drifts off to sleep, I linger in the doorway, watching her peaceful expression. The storm is over, and for the first time in months, I feel a sense of peace. Later that night, as I sit alone in the living room, my phone buzzes. It's a message from Erica. Caroline has filed a formal apology and a statement withdrawing all claims. Richard is being investigated for misconduct. Looks like the fallout is just beginning. I set the phone down, leaning back against the couch. Caroline's life is unraveling, but I feel no satisfaction. All I care about now is moving forward, focusing on the life I have with Ava. Tomorrow is a new day, and for the first time in what feels like forever, the future looks bright. The next morning feels different, lighter, as if the weight I've been carrying for months has finally lifted. I stand in the kitchen, sipping my coffee and watching the morning sun filter through the curtains. Ava's laughter drifts from the living room, where she's FaceTiming with a friend. It's a sound I haven't heard in far too long, and it fills me with a quiet joy. Later, as we eat breakfast together, Ava glances at me with a curious expression. "Dad, what happens now? With Mom?" I set my fork down, considering my words carefully. "Your mom made some mistakes, Ava. Big ones. But people are complicated. She's going to have to figure out her path now, just like we're figuring out ours." Ava nods slowly, her brow furrowing. "Do you hate her?" The question catches me off guard. I take a deep breath, my gaze steady. No, I don't hate her. I'm angry about what she did, and I'm hurt. But hate? That doesn't help anyone. What matters now is us, moving forward and building something better. She seems to accept this, her expression softening. I'm glad you're my dad, she says, her voice quiet but filled with conviction. Me too, sweetheart, I reply, reaching across the table to squeeze her hand. As the days turn into weeks, Ava and I settle into a new routine. The house begins to feel like home again, filled with laughter, warmth, and hope. Marcus stops by often, always with a story to share or a helping hand to offer. Erica checks in periodically, updating me on the fallout from the case. Richard's misconduct has led to a full-blown investigation, and Caroline has all but vanished from public view. One afternoon, as I'm sorting through some old boxes in the garage, I come across a photo album. Inside are pictures of the life we used to have, the vacations, the holidays, the moments when everything seemed perfect. I flip through the pages, a mixture of nostalgia and sadness washing over me. Ava walks in, catching sight of the album. "Can I see?" she asks, sitting beside me. Together, we go through the photos, laughing at old memories and sharing stories. It's bittersweet, but it feels like a step toward healing. By the time we close the album, I feel lighter, as if I've finally let go of the past. That evening, as Ava gets ready for bed, I receive a call from Marcus. His tone is light, almost amused. "Got some good news for you, Jason. Richard's been disbarred. Official as of this afternoon." I lean against the kitchen counter, a slow smile spreading across my face. "Looks like justice caught up with him." "That it did," Marcus replies. "And Caroline? She's staying under the radar for now. Sounds like her life's in shambles." I thank him and hang up, staring out the kitchen window at the quiet street. The fight is over, the dust finally settling. And while the scars remain, I know that Ava and I are stronger for it. As I tuck Ava into bed, she looks up at me, her eyes filled with a quiet confidence. "Dad, we're going to be okay, right?" I smile, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Better than okay, Ava. We're going to be great." As I close her door and head to my own room, I feel a sense of peace I haven't known in months. The nightmare is behind us, and the future stretches out like a blank canvas, waiting to be filled. This is our new beginning, and for the first time in a long time, I feel ready to embrace it. Thank you for following this journey. What do you think about Jason's victory and the steps he took to rebuild his life? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to share this story and subscribe for more gripping tales like this one.